you're never really trying to take a fight by yourself. You're always trying to work with your squad mates so that this way you can overcome the odds. You never want to go into a fight and be like, I'm going to 1v1 this guy and then I'm going to go help my teammates. That can't happen. And that's not going to happen against Sentinels because they're never going to give you an opportunity to do that. I think Wes had a really good perspective on it. He called, what was it, World 2 the bodyguard for Frosty, I believe it was. And that's so true, but then there's also layers to that as well, because then you have to worry about SnakeBite. And then you have to worry about, LethuL doing his thing, right? Being the rat that we know we love him to be, the guy who does all the dirty work. So there is just a lot of layers to this Sentinel squad. And Oxygen, I would imagine they're prepared for it. But now that Sentinels are on stage, I feel like they're just going to come at them with everything they have.
Yeah, they're just gonna be so strong, and I think it's an interesting outlook when teams try to focus on an individual, and you can't really do that at the very highest level of this game. I do think when you get to certain brackets or placement levels within Halo, you can do that. You can be like, let's focus on this person, make sure that they're down, keep the sniper out of their hands. But at the very, very highest level against a squad like Sentinels, you can't just focus on one member. However, what you can do with that information is play slightly different. Yeah. You have some like Royal 2 out of the picture. You realize, all right, they probably have less shots across the map. You have some like Frosty out of the picture. They don't have as much aggressiveness and charging power to fly around the corner. Yeah. So you know how they have to play. But instead of just speculating, let's just watch it live, Golden Boy. We're kicking off the very first game here at Anaheim with Sentinels versus Oxygen here on Livefire Oddball.
Yeah, well, for those of you guys joining us for the first time, watching some competitive Halo, Oddball, the name of the game, grab the objective, which is going to be located bottom mid, right where you see. You get that ball, you hold it for a few, you get to 100 points, and then you reset for the next round, and then you do it all over again. But let's see what we have here.
All 4 dead off the start of that one for Oxygen, and that is 4 kills going into the hands of Sentinel.
Yeah, this
along
is
with 13 points of
This
time.
is bad because now you're going to have a Frosty, a very game Frosty also, in this position, uncontested.
I love this setup too, where once they had so many members down, they not only had the ball over at Garage, they took over C Tower, and this just allows so many different options. Like, one, anyone who's just blindly running over, oh my God, look at that beatdown from LethuL with the Oddball, playing so smart around corners. But what I was going to say, the beauty of that last setup was that Frosty was holding that C Tower. If they ever blindly ran over towards A sandbags or towards the A side, they're going to get shot by a sniper. If they put too much pressure on Frosty, they're not stopping the ball time. Yeah. And they also have the ability to rotate that ball towards C Tower. So they just have that whole side of the map locked down with that perfect positioning of that sniper rifle.
Yeah, so right now it's about clearing the player that's going to be top mid. And he does have SnakeBite in this situation, did have support over by Elbow. But there was actually a really interesting interaction that happened before that led to the 50 points that they have. Haines was coming from bottom mid, and immediately Royal 2 had the protection of the one-shot ball carrier. And that just goes to show you the strength of this lineup. They never really have to worry about anything because they always have each other's back and they trust one another to make those plays. And as of right now, in the start of this, it's exactly what we were thinking Sentinels were going to do. Establish their dominance, Walshy.
One thing I really like there from SnakeBite that he did to get that camo was, first, he didn't just sit on the camo spawn. We see it all the time. People say, oh, power up or power weapons coming up. I'm going to sit right where that spawn is.
Or sit underneath
Instead, what SnakeBite did is took over the biggest threatening spot, which is the shortcut. If anyone came around that corner towards shortcut, he had the heat wave beat down kill immediately. Once he realized that that area was safe, he took that small window of opportunity, went back, grabbed the camo, and got it safely. So just taking up as much space as possible, especially the threatening positions like shortcut.
Yeah, I also really like that play from SnakeBite to draw attention bottom mid, give his teammates the opportunity to push from elbow, and that is why you're seeing Sentinels grab that ball again. And yeah, sure, they may need to play the ball here, and Oxygen's going to have to move very fast because at this point you have 2 players established over at green side, one with ball, one watching them. They know exactly where they need to look. I don't even know how he blew up so fast, but as of right now,
or something,
yeah, had to have been. And there's the good old Mangler along with the repulsor. Doesn't really work out the way that player was hoping for. Frosty had the better of his target on that exchange. And, I mean, at this point now, this could very well be the round. Brilliant snipe, though, from Haines. We're certainly going to be looking for him to make some plays here as he's sitting at 7 kills, 4 assists, and 5 deaths currently. But at this point here, Walsh, I mean, you got Sentinels controlling the ball, controlling the map, and Oxygen's playing off of the back foot the entire time.
Yeah, and this is just such a difficult spot to be in because as soon as Oxygen starts getting those kills, they're just trading kills and the ball gets played, and they are still somehow going for scrappy time, in my opinion, and I don't think that Oxygen can afford to do that in this individual round. I mean, oh my God,
what?
I don't think I've seen anyone ever like throwing those grenades over the roof like that. I haven't been watching enough streams apparently, but that was brilliant. Just
yeah, because he actually did do damage.
Seems like he had some sort of lineup there, just knew where that would land over towards green.
And another thing that they're doing too is they're ensuring that they clean everyone out. They give no one an opportunity to breathe, and they wipe out whoever's there so that they can stagger them off of the spawns.
Yeah, and that's the part I was going to kind of say with Oxygen is like when you're down by such a significant margin here, 36 to 91, you don't have to worry about getting to like the 50 or 60 point mark. You need to make sure you have control so that that Sentinels do not just close this game out. You have to get some semblance of greater control. And so when they were in a 3v4 situation, and he's just checking out those sweet skins that you can buy over in the HCS.
That's the Cyber Showdown. So if you missed the Cyber Showdown, you ain't getting that anymore. But Frosty just looking at him like, Papa, not going to happen today. But so this is, and Walshy, it's the way that this team plays together constantly. It is so scary, and Oxygen need to find something because as of right now, they are just running around the map, willy-nilly, doing whatever the heck they want. They just need 8 points for this first round, or 9 points, and that is going to be it for round 1.
Yep, I think they were just getting a few more kills to pad those stats a little bit to close out that first round, but there is going to be the last couple seconds going in the hands of SnakeBite, and Sentinels going up 1-0 in this first map.
You know, and some may look at LethuL stats and be like, man, those are really low. There was nothing for him to do. he held the objective of 57 points, right? Like, he did everything he needed to do in that exchange in that whole round. And really, you just have anyone at any point in time in Sentinels can just go off. So that is why it's so scary to face off against this team. World2 just gets himself a casual triple kill on the outside as if it was nobody's, as if it was just another day in the office for him. And we'll see if they can get this ball and start to accrue some time here.
Yeah, and this is seeming like deja vu all over again, GB. This time, 3 members of Oxygen Esports getting taken out instead of all 4. And then they are getting time right off the bat again for Sentinels, but this setup broken up much quicker this time. So I guess, not as reminiscent as the first round.
Yeah, and this is great. An all 4 down for in the favor of Oxygen gives them confidence to start playing their game here. I think that they got maybe just a little bit rattled. There was a bit of a false start, right? The delay, getting set up, that kind of gets in your head a little bit. So you would hope that Oxygen can pick up the pieces. It was only going to be 1 round, and because of the new format for Oddball and Halo Infinite, you have those opportunities to reset, because if this was old Oddball rules, no shot Oxygen finds the second gear to kind of get that comeback going, because there's no opportunity for the reset.
God, I love that nade that Swish is hitting right there up towards the window. Just hitting that little incline, that little ramp, just to make sure that nade blows up directly inside that window. So anyone who's peeking out from that AR spawn / window just gets taken to 1 shot.
Frosty's got the read on 2 players, so those comms are coming in. And just this coverage is beautiful. Anyone who tried to challenge was immediately going to get picked, and Frosty knows this, right? He knows that that's why he could just take the fight casually if he wants to. He's got his teammates back. His teammates know that they have his back, and that is the reason why they've been able to come back into this lead here, bring the ball to a real dangerous spot in tower side, which could be problematic. Bit of a hit there with the nade. They also lose out on camo, but they know that they have so much going on in their favor that they could just focus on camo when they need to, and now they'll pick that up and take advantage of it.
Yep, they're not just desperating towards that camo and just dying and burning it. That's not good enough for a squad like Sentinels, and nor is it a good play in general. They want to make sure that they are picking up any free kills from members of Oxygen who are overextending for that power-up, and then making sure they safely secure that power-up.
So this is going to be SnakeBite's POV, but you see World2 on your screen. But for SnakeBite, part of the charm of this whole play has been not necessarily taking the camo, going for the back wax, right? Doing those little cheeky plays. No, he's using camo for information. Where are the players going to be setting up? They were setting up at Nest. They can continue to add more time to their already a big lead that they've been able to establish. And this is where Oxygen, they have to fight out of a very uncomfortable position on the green side. Very open. You don't have a clear shot of the ball. They could easily rotate that over to Garage, as you're seeing right now. So this is the time to strike for Oxygen, and they have to shut down Sentinels here if they want a chance in this game.
God, such good positioning and movement there from LethuL. I just liked how he was challenging that person over towards the A bags, and then goes over to the opposite side of the scoreboard. A spot that originally was a vulnerable and dangerous spot to be turned into his safe position based on his teammates flying in and helping in from the sandbags.
Oh, I also really dug that play that we saw from Royal 2. He sends the ball out, and this is going to put Common on the hunt to try and find where this player is. But, well, it's Frosty. Gets himself a double. He now has the sniper rifle. They don't have ball quite yet, but they do have players around there to get that ball, pick it back up, and this is where Frosty is at its best. When he has that sniper rifle and he's simply just able to control the pace of the game. Now, a good shutdown there, right? Take that power weapon and take advantage of it. This was a long rotation that they needed to make, and they're starting to get a few more kills, and they have to work together, and that is a good camo that they could use here if they want to jump back into this.
Yeah, I'm almost even wondering, is this the first camo we're seeing in the hands of Oxygen? Let's see if we can actually do something a bit more with it, because they really need to scrap up a lot of time here to try to tie this game up.
So Swish is using this camo in the way that you would traditionally see it being used, as more of like a surprise, I'm here, and a brilliant double for Swish is actually going to be a big point of success here for Oxygen. They can get a decent amount of points from this, and with the way that Swish is playing, which is exactly what he needed to do right here and now, get him, but he's got help there from his teammate. No! Royal 2 gets the double, and you'd have to wonder, maybe in that instance, he could have contributed to the shot's name there to help out Swish and keep him alive in this fight.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, that Oxygen, when they do have that power-up, they're forced to be defensive. Like, it felt like we saw Common being incredibly reactive right there. Instead of, like, roaming around the map, trying to catch somebody from the side. Had to fight somebody over towards top center. Had to fight somebody over towards the dummies or the brutes. Just had to kind of be very stagnant, and still with that camo.
That was a sad play there. So they had the ball at that big green box over in the river, because you know, conventional thinking is that ball's going to just drop down from my hands. But no, that ball's a rock. It'll just drop straight down. But it's still in play, and this is bad news here for Oxygen. They have to move very fast. LethuL, smart play, going to his teammate SnakeBite, managing to get the kill there against Swish. Common, not going to be enough for SnakeBite either, but a good pick coming from dummy side. This is going to be a big win for SnakeBite, and he doesn't win the fight out, but a teammate's there to back him up. Even though Oxygen gets the ball, it's still going to be more garbage time. They have to play it, or else Sentinels win the round.
Yep, and this is a tough spot for Common. Common has to be bottom center, because
he had to be bottom center.
Yeah, he cannot risk Sentinels to grab those last few seconds.
And
so
that's
if Common's not there to challenge, they grab the free time. If Common's there to challenge, they double team Common and grab the ball anyways. So it's a really difficult position.
That was a lose-lose situation there, because the only thing that Oxygen could do was play the ball at the back of tower. They play the ball, but guess what? Every member of Sentinel, still very healthy, can challenge that fight down low. Common, as you had noted, needed to be there to make the play, to either play the forward position and get the picks so that they can grab that ball, but there's just too much work for Common to do. Great player, but in that instance, it was a little bit too hot to handle for him there. And that is going to be game one for Sentinels, and a very clean 2-0 and Oddball to start things off here in Anaheim.
Yep, strong statement. I mean, we didn't really see either of those games just being completely out of reach. You know, we did see Oxygen get up to around 50 points during that second round. The first one was a bit more of a landslide, but by no means was it just this absolute one-sided affair. Yes, Sentinels were in control. Yes, Sentinels didn't really have a chance of losing that. They were ahead the entire time. But it wasn't just, we've seen some stomps sometimes before in pool play, and I would not consider that a stomp.
Yeah, not at all. Oxygen had those moments of brilliance where you were starting to see like the engines turn a little bit for them, but Sentinels do a really great job of just ensuring that any gas you're starting to get, it just gets wiped out immediately. So in that instance, Oxygen knows that they had such a difficult task ahead of them, but the way that Sentinels played the start of that oddball, I mean, we'll take a look at some of the replays here. I mean, there were some brilliant moments, and I do like this like going back and forth. I'm kind of digging this. But the game started off with Frosty just, getting sniper, uncontested, picking off a few shots, or even making some players one shot. And then the second round started with a Royal 2 triple, if I'm pretty sure. So yeah, that was the starts are very important in an oddball game, Dave.
Yep, and I think my wish was just misplaced there. Like I said, I wish I can go back in time when I was good at Halo again, and somehow the DreamHack crew just decided to revert a little bit. Like, all right, we got what you're doing.
Yeah, we want to send you back in time. Well, next up is going to be Slayer on Streets. It is a best of 5, and as we had noted before, that these games here, like this Slayer in particular, this is going to be the game that Oxygen needs to win. Slayer is one of those game modes where, yes, the organized teams typically would come out on top, but it's a great moment for the scrappier squads to try and pull away a victory and maybe force that game forward.
Yeah. Historically, Slayers are considered a bit more variable compared to the objective games for a couple reasons. One, generally, Slayers are shorter games.
Yeah.
Sometimes things start to spiral out of control. Secondly, based after the shorter games, is you don't really have that same comeback mechanic that you do in like a flag game or a ball game or a Strongholds, because these teams, they're all so good that once they get a significant lead, they're like, all right, well, we can like start to play a little different. We can hide around these specific corners. We can play in a way that we can force more trades. A style of play that they would not use earlier on in the game of a Slayer. But later on, if they have a big enough lead, they can play that way. And so that's why you generally see more Slayers dropped from a higher seed team to a lower seed team than objective games.
Yeah, because they'll take that aggressive, scrappy play style. If they get that lead, like that 5-kill lead, then they're like, whoa, let's just keep trading. Let's just keep getting in their face and keep doing the thing that we're doing because we're getting a few kills out of this. They're sending a body to just be that bullet sponge for them, soak everything up, and then you clean up the targets as they come along. But for Sentinels, though, this could be a quick game if they play the same way, the hot start that they had in live fire. If they do it here on Streets, Oxygen are going to be picking up the pieces, and they don't have that reset that Oddball provides you. So, I mean, hey, it is anyone's game on Slayer, though.
I'm also interested to see how this game type has developed over the past months. When we were watching this at our last event in Raleigh, we even heard these teams kind of talking through strategies, be like, actually, maybe we should try to control B a bit more. They're controlling B. What can we do to counter that? And it didn't seem like they really had a fully fleshed out strategy of where they knew they wanted to be at in certain positions. They just kind of were, observing what other teams were doing to them and being like, oh, wow, like that's working against us. How do we break this?
That was a brilliant start there for Oxygen, by the way. They managed to obtain the rockets, and they took out the players that were hanging out in the Overlook top B steps. But unfortunately for them, as the match kind of continues on, you get down to the BRs. Yeah, they have their rockets, but you only get 2 of those. So you got to make the most of them as where you can. And with that hot start, the Rockets really are going to be the difference maker there because you have those 2 kills from the Rockets or the assist you got from the Rockets. Slowly but surely, Sentinels, they're going to come back into this because you're not really getting that much value out of that power weapon at the start of the game.
Yeah, it's always interesting kind of trying to figure out the game as who gets the power-ups or power-weapons and how they're doing with them. And sometimes it's not really a good sign if you do get control of that first power-up or power weapon and the game's like tied or really close.
Yeah, it's
you
like
almost
at that
want
point,
to do those pull-aways.
Exactly, like they really didn't contribute all that much. Another power weapon here, by the way, is this gun, the Stalker Rifle. Don't sleep on it. If you're out there playing matchmaking with your buddies and you've avoided the weird-looking red gun because you don't quite know what it does, that thing is a cannon, and it does a sizable amount of damage. And that paired up with the Bulldog, as we're seeing right here, oh yeah, it's beautiful, baby. You love to see it.
Yep, that Stalker Rifle 3-shot kill is so powerful and just, it's really intended to kind of be that mid/long range weapon
just does so much damage. Even that first shot just moves away so much shielding for you that there's just nothing you could really do. And, oh, this is a rough position to be in there. An unfortunate scenario for Haines as he was tucked away in the corner. Rockets are going to be up again. I believe they were picked up by Sentinels, so maybe they're going to use this to their advantage. They have that B side covered, and now this is where, if you're on PD side for Oxygen, you're going to have to fight out of this because you know Rockets are coming.
I like that play by SnakeBite, not using that first rocket on that player, instead realizing he can use his battle rifle and get a little greedy with those rockets. Since you have so few of them, you want to make more use of them. It really irks me to this day, too, when I see someone like rocket a one-shot. It's like, get greedy at the higher level. Like, drop that rocket real quick, shoot them with a BR, pick the rocket back up. Like, at this level, those are such big game changers. Like, use that rocket on a full shield Frosty or somebody.
Exactly. Don't waste it on targets that you know can be easily picked off with the other power weapon that's in your hands, the battle rifle. So now that we're starting to see Sentinels pull away with the lead here, this is where I get very concerned about Oxygen. They don't have that opportunity for the reset. Royal 2's hanging out back PD, back police station, because he knows where the spawns are supposed to be coming from, but the timing, despite him winning that fight, though, there was still going to be Swish coming out from the outside. The timing wasn't quite there, but that's not really a big deal when you have teammates backing you up in every other which way.
Yeah, this game's a lot easier when you just hit all your shots like that, like Royal 2. That's just unbelievable. And also just the awareness of these players. Like, obviously we have these outlines and stuff on the screen so we can understand what's going on.
Oh, beautiful.
But like
nade.
The fact that these players can react to getting shot from a spot that they aren't ready for.
Yeah.
Drop, get themselves whatever cover or advantage they can to try and make the best of those fights, and that's why these are the best players in the game.
Just even look at the way that SnakeBite, he patrolled the back alley there. He put a few shots with the Bulldog. He saw that someone else was going to be coming from PD corner, so he just continued to juke around the alley so that this way his teammate can back him up. Big win there in a big 1v1 fight for LethuL. That is going to give them the 38th kill, and at this point now, man, you're looking for some steak today if you're Sentinels with the way that this game is going.
Yeah, and it's like you said, this one's going to be really tough for Oxygen because, I mean, at this point, they're probably not caring as much about the scoreline. Their goal is still to win this game. They're probably not as worried about, like, all right, can we get to 30? Can we get to this? Like, they still want to play their game like normal. They don't want to just try to throw all their strats, all their game plan out the window because they have so many more matches today and the rest of this pool play. They are going to give it their all in this series, as they talked about before.
Triple kill.
They would make a massive mistake if they just tried to, play completely different, try to hide, try to just get, scrap up a couple kills. But oh my God, he just doesn't miss on land, huh?
Yeah, I mean, homie need to chill. he's just wrecking shop out here. We had that stat with Name in Royal 2, and Royal 2 had just, blank lines because he hadn't had an official HCS tournament match in a little bit. I would love to see that pick up, that graphic again, just from this match with Name and Royal 2, and see how Royal 2 has been playing, because Matt's been slaying out here.
Yeah, he's doing so much damage. And I also just love that, Shy Away covers so many small differences in movement here on this map, but I liked how, Royal 2, instead of clambering up towards the tires, instead jumps up on that little ledge, and, at no point in time is he vulnerable to an opponent getting first shot on him in tires by clambering up. He jumped up on that little sneaky ledge above the AC unit.
I mean, even that slide right there, the power slide that we're starting to see become so much more popular, and we're getting close to a steak dinner here, people. Kills lined up. There we go. Steak-tacular for Sentinels, keeping Oxygen below 30 kills. Well, I mean, I hate to be that guy, but a little bit of an easy club,
They're looking strong.
They look
strong.
Sentinels
are looking really good. Nothing to be ashamed thereof on the Oxygen side. Sentinels just looking really strong, out for blood. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out, at this point, it's not just a teamwork style thing or overall strategy. There is just a lot of individual outplays there. You get somebody that gets the first two shots in Royal 2, you need to win the fight.
Yeah, exactly. There's no excuse there. And at this level, you miss that shot, Royal 2 will take advantage. Even looking at some of the 1v1s that LethuL had as well, right? Like, this was the thing that I was really worried about with Oxygen, where it was going to get to the point where the only other option for that squad was to take 1v1s against these players because they're getting staggered on spawns. There's no real opportunities for them to be able to work together as a team. And here are the stats right there, folks. I mean, you know, it says it all when you have Royal 2 going 17 and 9 in it, SnakeBite 12 and 6, everyone contributing effectively in this Slayer game. 6 minutes. You have 6 minutes to try and figure out how to beat Sentinels, Dave, and it's just not enough time.
No, it's just tough. That spirals out of control really quick. I mean, yes, they were even up until around the 10 to 12 kill mark, but then that's where it started to go for 2-to-1 trades, 3-to-1 trades. As soon as you see like triple kills popping up on Royal 2's screen, that's just dangerous.
Yeah, and this was the start of the game, right? They were able to get rockets, Oxygen at the start of it, and we wanted to see a clean start for them, and they got what they wanted. They had the lead, but then after that, it all started to crumble down, And
actually,
it was
this period right here, like you said, like right there from Frosty getting over towards top C and doing a good job making it so no players can push from B to B driveway and getting it over towards C.
Yeah.
If they did, Frosty has height advantage. He also has range advantage. He can do a long range with Stalker Rifle, or just wait around the corner with Bulldog.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of tools. Taking advantage of the sandbox that Halo provides you has always been the name of the game, right? There's so many varied weapons, especially in Infinite. There's so many weapons that are just so good to use that you'd be foolish not to take advantage of those tools as they are made available to you per map. But now we're going to be going to recharge Strongholds, and for Oxygen, they're certainly feeling, I would imagine, a little down here given how these games have played out. Some moments of brilliance for the Green Squad, but Sentinels have been on point at the start here of HCS Anaheim.
Yep. Just looking strong, and I mean, I would consider, or I would, expect them to continue that momentum here in Recharge Strongholds.
I really wish that we would have taken a point away from Clutch for having to sign upside down when he showed Sentinels. I would have really liked that, if the desk had caught that, because obviously they're not as astute and aware as I am.
I feel,
as we are, Dave.
Based on how this game is going, it feels like it's going to be kind of like a whose line is it anyway style like point system where Li's like, I get 1 million points just because I'm so awesome. We're like, all right, well, we can't argue with that.
I guarantee you at the end of this broadcast, somehow, some way, Lottie is going to win. How? I don't know, but she's going to figure out a way to do it. All right, well, we're into the action now. 2-0 if you're just joining us for Sentinels in this best of 5. Oxygen need to find some life here, need to find some air in their lungs in order to come back into this one. That is another pun, by the way, for everyone at home if you're keeping track. I got them all weekend, baby. But here's where things get very scary, because SnakeBite is just telling them where they're going with this camo.
Yeah, and I like this play. Just take some time, get a position, get a
casual stroll.
Yeah, get a kill or two, and then decide to get the strongholds. Like, don't just desperate it just because, that I don't want to call it desperate play, but like that capture by Haines worked out well. That timing worked out well.
Ooh, that's unfortunate.
So, you don't have to counteract that immediately. This is a marathon of a game, as long as you're not letting a team get a trip cap.
Yeah. Opportunity here 100% for Oxygen to force his game 4 if Sentinels isn't careful, right? And that I think, needs to be stated. I know it sounds like it's a little doom and gloom from us for Oxygen given how these games went, and especially if Frosty's hitting shots like that. But Oxygen do have an opportunity to come back, especially on a mode like Strongholds, where if you're not holding those 2 points, you're not gaining anything. So they can try their best here to force this. And Dave, you've been playing, quite a bit. Where do you feel like would be the best place to set up here on A, C, or B? Where would you like to see these players focus on?
Ooh, I mean, there are just so many different states to the game that you really have to kind of go with the flow based on where your team's spawning and such. Now, if you're in a most idealistic scenario where you have like all 4 dead and you have like a near trip cap, that's actually a really good question. I've not fully thought that one through as to like what is the most ideal setup. I would argue that you don't want the other team to spawn into A, because that is one stronghold that they can capture, hold off angles, and you can't really use your numbers advantage without flying around really tight corridors.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would have to give a better answer to that in the future.
Yeah, no, okay. Well, that was a great way to say you don't know. That's, I really do appreciate the honesty there, Dave. Killing spree for Frosty, as also Sword's going to be in the hand. That is a very powerful tool, by the way, and that's the reason why they want to take it away from Oxygen as soon as they possibly can. In my experience, though, it feels like A and C have been better only because of the transitions. But then when you think about, this position right here where Name is, you have to keep one of your players located in this area so that this way you can take the shots at the balcony as you're crossing from C to A or A to C. And that's easier said than done. So really, this is the type of game mode, especially at this high level, where you're constantly going to be moving around. And that is the reason why Oxygen, try as they might, Sentinels, they're waiting for them to make these plays, and Oxygen feels like they're being forced to make individual plays, which is scary to do on a team map like this.
This is also an interesting setup that they have right now from Sentinels is, yes, they have A and C temporarily, but you can expect that they are going to transition this into getting B at some point. A and C you can't really hold for that long of a period of time, in my opinion. Yes, you can try to do control room and maybe go back and forth there, but for the most part, that's going to be more of a temporary setup as you end up holding A and B or B and C.
Yeah.
One of those adjacent strongholds.
Yeah, that's right. It's going to be constantly changing too, because these players are always finding new ways to just, the timings, the understanding of the maps. Like, there's so many things that are going through all of their heads here, and all on top of the fact that they have to take out their opponents and try to control all the map as much as they can.
Not having those grenades ends up getting the B stronghold.
But they get C out of that.
Sometimes getting B in a position like that is such a game changer, because that goes from either a free death to a stronghold capture.
And now we get Common capping A. It's got that Mangler too, so if anyone came through that door, 2 players down now, opportunity here for Oxygen, big opportunity for them to earn some points. And they get themselves a camo, so a lot of goodies to work with. You get that beautiful, everyone's favorite Mangler weapon. They hold that, and now we'll see what they're able to do with this. They're losing B, so they'll take this camo over to C, see if they can catch some players off guard. And they're looking around, man. They haven't found him yet. Oh, that's Heartbreak City for Name. That sucks.
So tough, because you feel like you're doing everything right. Like, all right, taking my time, not letting this person slip by, and then, they just end up trading you with a sticky nade. But I mean, at some point, if you're that close with the Mangler, you're asking for that close quarter trade.
Yeah. You have no other choice, right? That is going to be the play. But I think what's more impressive is that, they had to have seen in the death cam the camo around there, and that player in the lower blue tunnel had to have been prepared to receive it. But we have a huge opportunity for Oxygen. But could this potentially be too many resources invested for a trip cap to get back into this game? Because now, they did manage to get a few players down.
Yeah, it was like they had 3 members for Oxygen, 1 for Sentinels. Now I believe it's a 2-on-1, and now it's getting closer to near even, or Sentinels are at full power. But I think it's always a game of relativity. In a case where you only have 1 or 2 people alive, if the opposing team only has 1 or 2 alive, push that advantage. Go ahead and keep putting that pressure on. It's always, like I said, in relation to your opponent's team.
There you go, Oxygen. They're 4-4 down, by the way, for Sentinels.
If I had like a funny story, like I learned this in physics class. I had Professor Wong. He taught us that he was like, everything's in relativity. And so he's like, if you're, let's say you're driving your car, in relation to where the grass is, you're going 50 miles an hour. In relation to, the girlfriend that just broke up to you, you're going 50 miles an hour away from her. In relation to, your friend who's trying to comfort you, you're both going the same speed. In relation to,
it's good to know that you've applied the theory of relativity to your Halo career. Today I learned, folks, just be good at physics, right? I don't know. I failed.
I'm not good at physics. I did get an A in the class, but I'm
okay. We don't have to humble brag, Dave. I just said I failed it. There's stuff like that. It creates the animosity between the two. Well, hey, while all that was going on, by the way, while Dave was going down memory lane with Mr. Wong, shout out to Mr. Wong, Oxygen Esports have managed to come back into this game 133 to 132. They're right there, and a big Game 3 swing could be a momentum shift for Oxygen if they manage to pick up a dub here. Sentinels know that. They have to shut this down right away, so they get possession of B and C. We'll see what SnakeBite could do as he continues to patrol around Yellow and Pipes, and where these Oxygen players are in relation to how this push is going to come through. And SnakeBite, a great just a good awareness to just reposition himself because he knew that that was a fight he was simply not going to be able to win.
Yep. Fight's not going to win, and he's just going to make it so difficult for these members of Oxygen to kill him. Like, one thing you'll notice that's thematic across the Sentinels roster is they are going to make it take multiple members from Oxygen to get kills. They're not just going to give you as many one-on-one challenges. Yes, you might catch them off guard from time to time, like we saw on Streets, where we saw, I believe, as Haines catching LethuL off guard over at the Heaven. But that's those are few and far between. These players are very aware of where threats are going to come from, and they are going to take very high percentage fights, or they're going to back down, just like we saw there from Royal 2, backing down. And yes, maybe an arguable challenge there, but that is generally what you're getting from these Sentinels members.
I think part of this, too, has been, off the back of Swish performing incredibly well in this game. They're looking to make this cap happen at C. A few kills going in the favor of Oxygen and a camo pickup for Swish, too. They can clean this up, have a trip cap. They're also going to have a sword as well. This is ridiculous. This is a huge opportunity for Oxygen to win this game.
I love this route as well. Just pushing over as fast
he
as
sees
possible.
exactly where they are. No, wait it out. Wait it out.
I don't mind this play. This is great.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
He needs to get out his gun, but does not matter. Instead, they somehow cap 2 throughout that entire time. I wouldn't say that's due to just Swish being too passive. I mean, at some point, he made the right play. Like I said, he ended up getting the kills. Arguably, his members of his team died a little too quick, but yeah, I think that was great from Swish.
But you know what, though? He had the help on the player that was by this weapon here. Oh, my God.
Yeah, by the bat ledge over at the shock rifle.
Yeah, shock rifle. I always mess up. I always call it lightning gun because of the freaking quake and stuff. But, yeah, he had that sword. He was whacking away with camo. It's like, go ahead, come down, I dare you. But we had 2 swords on the map.
I think he has no sword. I think he had no sword ammo left in that. So.
Oh, okay.
I
was losing my mind there for a moment.
I'm pretty sure he had 0.
How is this happening? But now it's a trip cap for Sentinels, and all of this momentum for Oxygen Esports has effectively gone away. They have to respond in kind, and they're shutting them down every single opportunity they get. They finally stopped the bleeding Cap C, and they're getting this lead, but there's still a lot more progress to be made. We're far from done with this game.
And look at this constant pressure from Sentinels. I love that route that Frosty took there. Decided to take a route that he could see over towards Long Haul. And now if there was somebody going through Long Haul to pressure B, he probably would play that quite different, but realizing he didn't see any pressure there just yet, decides to go on the offensive and go for another trip cap here for Sentinels.
All right, Haines has a big task ahead of him, and unfortunately, it's just not going to happen as he gets wiped out. But Common comes in for the help, I believe. Takes out SnakeBite, has to get one more. Big kill there against LethuL. They need to get on this right now because it's 245 to 185. There is no room for error here for Oxygen Esports if they want to force a Game 4.
They're just going to have to play some perfect Halo here. In addition to it, I feel like they have to play some greedy Halo as well. It might feel counterintuitive to go for a trip cap in the scenario, but rather than try to put yourself in a position where you have to kill Sentinels over and over again for 2 minutes straight, you want to put yourself in this position where, like, all right, well, let's speed up this. Let's make it, we have to play near perfect Halo for 30 seconds instead of 60 or 90 seconds.
They don't have enough time. They have to fly. They have to get someone on B right away. There's going to be 2 players located on there. A is also going to be captured at the same time. Ooh. A big win as well. The clock stops there as well. B and C being captured, but Frosty's got his body on B. Is anyone around to respond? Can anyone stop Frosty from capping this? No.
They got him
and
both
as
going,
time ticks down, it's going to be Sentinels with a 3-0, but it got a little hairy there for a moment for the world champs as Oxygen gave them quite the fight on Strongholds. But man, Sentinels look fantastic. 3-0 sweep for them.
Yeah, and what we considered to be a big momentous game for Sentinels turned out to be a scary game, right?
Yeah.
Like when we saw that momentum shift where we saw Oxygen gain around 100 points, they tied it around the 150 mark. They had the lead. They had a trip cap for a second. They had Swish with the camo and the sword. I was like, all right, this could start to spiral out of control. But I don't know what happened during that last engagement. I'm not sure how Sentinels were able to acquire all those kills, grab B, and grab a second stronghold, which I believe was A, during that time where I felt like Swish and the Oxygen squad had the advantage.
Yeah, they were putting all their eggs into that basket of the trip cap. I don't know if you saw, but multiple times when they had that opening, they went for the trip cap. And I think that maybe that could have bit them in the butt a little bit because, you know, the name of the game in Strongholds is just, you know, hold more points than your opponents. Maybe they just felt like if they give Sentinels room to breathe, give Sentinels the opportunity to set up, that it could cost them, and they want to force them into a weird fight to just take a stronghold away from Oxygen, which is why they went for the trip cap. But, you know, then Sentinels get the spawns that they want. They're all together as well, popping up at the same time. They're able to just single push an area and then work from there. I think that was just a brilliant job from Sentinels to really bounce back. But I do want to give credit to Oxygen for playing that game very hard because they were not out of it, even though it felt like it at the beginning.
Yeah, no, that's a great point because they need to be on the same page as to when they are and when they aren't going for trip caps.